Welcome to our session, Reimagine Opportunities. The topic today is Moving the Needle, Initiatives Advancing Women-Owned Business. This discussion will be led by a dynamic group of women who are involved with initiatives that support business growth and expansion. The conversation will be moderated by Charmaine Davis. Ms. Davis is an experienced policy strategist, facilitator, and organizer. Ms. Davis promotes the well-being of wage-earning women by serving as the Southeast Regional Administrator for the U.S. Department of Labor's Women's Bureau. She is a published author whose articles have been featured in Huffington Post, Pacific Standard, and the Atlantic Journal-Constitution. Joining the discussion will be the following powerful women: Rashida Winfrey, Vice President, Underserved Populations, J.P. Morgan Chase; Teresa Harrison, Environmental Social Governance Services, Leader Procurement, Ernst & Young; and Teresa Ward-Maupin, Senior Vice President, Digital and Customer Experience, Comcast Business.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Charmaine Davis, and I'm the Southeast Regional Administrator for the U.S. Department of Labor's Women's Bureau, and I want to welcome you to our next panel discussion. I'll begin by sharing with you just a little bit about the Women's Bureau, the agency that I work for, before we jump into our panel discussion today. So for those of you who are less familiar with the Women's Bureau, we are an agency. We are one of the oldest agencies within the U.S. Department of Labor. We were established by Congress in 1920, just shortly after women were granted the right to vote. And we were established to formulate standards and policies to promote the welfare of wage-earning women. We are the only federal agency that exclusively serves the interests of working women. And so today I will be moderating our next panel, Reimagining Opportunities, Initiatives Advancing Women-Owned Businesses. But before we meet our panel and jump into our discussion, I think that it's important for us to just think about the context in which this discussion is being had and why at this moment it is so crucial for all of us to begin to rethink and to reimagine the way that our business and our economy has historically functioned. So to begin, many of you already know today is Equal Pay Day. It is the date in which women have to work on average to earn what their white male counterparts earned in 2020. Women on average are paid 82 cents for every dollar paid to their white male counterparts. For women of color, this wage gap is even deeper, with Black women earning 63 cents, Latinas earning 55 cents, and Indigenous women earning 60 cents. But what people don't usually know is that the wage gap does not just exist for women working your traditional 9 to 5, but it exists for women entrepreneurs and women business owners. So women are starting businesses at 2 times the rate as men. And right now, 42% of businesses owned in our nation are owned by women. But when it comes to capital, women have far less access to capital. Women are far more likely to go into debt and to use their personal funds to start and operate their businesses. COVID-19 has exacerbated many of the unique challenges that women workers and women business owners face. And so that's why I'm so excited to introduce our panel today, because these are women who have been doing incredible work to help advance and strengthen women-owned businesses. So let's jump right into things. And let's start with having each one of our panelists briefly introduce yourself and share your role within your organization. Let's start with Ms. Rashida Winfrey.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here to speak with the ladies that are participating today, as well as the amazing panelists that you have assembled here. So my name is Rashida Winfrey. I serve as Vice President focused on underserved entrepreneurs in the Atlanta market for J.P. Morgan Chase. And basically what I do is just support Black and Latinx entrepreneurs, helping them scale, grow, find capital, et cetera, for their businesses.
Awesome. Thank you, Rashida. Next, let's hear from Teresa Ward.
Hi, good morning. So my name is Teresa Ward-Maupin. I am the Senior Vice President of Digital and Customer Experience with Comcast. I'm here today to share, to participate in this session with these lovely women on the panel with me. And I'm going to focus a lot on a Comcast Rise initiatives and different elements that can be taken from that and leveraged amongst this audience and the entrepreneurs.
Next, Teresa Harrison.
Thank you, and it's great to be here today. I'm Teresa Harrison. I'm the global leader of our environmental social governance services at EY. So my team is responsible globally for the supplier diversity process as well as our sustainable procurement process. So I'm going to be talking today about two of the biggest programs we have for women entrepreneurs and our minority entrepreneurs and how we're building an ecosystem and driving their growth of those particular companies. So excited to be here today and look forward to sharing some words with the panel. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, for joining us today. My next question is, we would all like to hear about the amazing initiatives that each one of your organizations have developed. So why don't you tell us about the different initiatives to support women-owned businesses and share with us what was the need that your organization was responding to when they developed those initiatives. So who would like to start us off? I'll pick on one of you. Teresa Ward-Maupin, would you like to respond first?
Sure, absolutely. So I don't think there's any surprise that a lot of businesses have communicated a commitment to really focusing on DE&I initiatives. And to your earlier point, we at Comcast are donating $100 million from a commitment standpoint for these initiatives. As a part of that commitment and looking at how do we fight social unrest, how do we fight inequalities. As a part of it, we really looked at how can we launch a program called RISE. This was one of the initiatives that came out of that commitment, and it stands for Representation, Investment, Strength, and Empowerment. And this program offers BIPOCs or Black, Indigenous people of color support from a standpoint of monetary grants, marketing services, technology, really to support the businesses that were most impacted. Our goal as a part of this is to look at not just focusing on this moment in time, but really looking at how do we continue to help businesses recover, but then prosper in the future, and how do we make a lasting impact on them and the communities that they're serving. I think all of us would agree this is never going to be a one and done focus area. It is really going to be multi-year and evolving, and it's going to require us as individuals and as businesses to really look at how do we make changes to our cultures to drive change and to drive the desire to see improvements across the board.
Great. Thank you, Teresa. Rashida, do you want to respond next?
Absolutely. So I would say similar to what Teresa said, I think over a significant period of time and what became, really greater highlighted, kind of exacerbated last year, a lot of organizations, so I have to say not all, right? So I do think the organizations represented here that have an opportunity to speak about what their companies or entities are doing are definitely, very, very special in the fact that they recognize a challenge and have acted on it. We as a community are really at a period that in history that I think will always be remembered when a larger number than what we've seen before of organizations have stepped up and said, hey, this is important. For me, in my organization, JP Morgan Chase, last October, our CEO in the organization made a very bold commitment and said that we absolutely, as a business and businesses in general, have an absolute responsibility to help solve social, help push and help lead social change, right? That we have to be responsible for solving injustices. So our answer to that was making a very bold commitment to committing $30 billion, and that's billion with a B, $30 billion to close the racial wealth gap. I did not work for JP Morgan Chase when that was announced, but it is the very reason that I wanted to join this company. And what that entails is $30 billion over 5 years along a number of different kind of verticals. So some of that definitely goes to creating more affordable housing. A significant amount goes to actual helping more Black and Brown families and individuals actually purchase homes. The piece that I work on and that's close to my heart is really around small businesses. So how do we help 15,000 additional, so not stop what we already do, but help 15,000 additional small businesses get loans through Chase. In addition to that, we don't stop there, right? We also have recently made a $40 million commitment to help sustain and lift up minority deposit institutions, as well as CDFIs, et cetera. And so hope there'll be other opportunities for me to speak more about what that work looks like. Oh, and I forgot the important thing, and also a significant millions of dollars also committed to having more diverse populations included in our supplier diversity work. So.
Thank you, Rashida.
So I guess that leaves me with a question. Thanks, Charmaine. So I think one of the things that we looked at actually over a year ago, before kind of the COVID and the social injustice, was how we can build this ecosystem of diverse-owned businesses. And we were specifically looking at Black and Latinx businesses for our organization. So we launched a program called the Entrepreneur Access Network Program. Initially, it was going to be piloted in one city, which was going to be Atlanta. But due to all of the social injustice and everything that has happened and transpired this past year, we launched in over 10 cities, states. And we have 120 businesses, Black and Latinx businesses within this cohort, that are each assigned an EY relationship manager. So that relationship manager is going to treat each one of these businesses just like they're an EY client. So they're getting access to our overall clients, our suppliers. We have an online training program that we've curated for this particular group that's accessible for those who are not in the curated program, but kind of 3 pillars. One of the things is looking to build an ecosystem of suppliers, not only for us, but for our clients. The second one is from a growth of access and network. So that's leveraging our clients, our suppliers, our networks to build their networks, to get their products and services out there. And the third one is access to capital. So getting them ready. So having them prepare their documentation, getting them ready for their pitches, to go look for that particular capital that they need to infuse in their overall organizations. And a lot of this really stemmed from a lot of our Black and Latinx businesses being impacted by the COVID pandemic. And so we've taken this on to build this ecosystem. It's a pilot program right now, but I see it launching globally as well as in the more cities next year. But I think what it has shown us is the resiliency of these businesses and how they have been resilient through this time, and a number of the great activities and the great suppliers that we have met that a lot of our clients are asking for access to. So we've been able to do a number of different campaigns and really build their market profiles to get them out. So speak more to that later on, a little bit more of how we're doing that within our program.
Yeah. All of those initiatives are very amazing. I want to make sure that for those who are listening, who may be interested in reaching out and would want to connect around those initiatives, share with us who is the target audience, who's the ideal person to apply for support to engage with each of the initiatives that all 3 of you have described. Theresa Harrison, do you want to kick us off with you?
Sure. So there's a website. So if you go to ey.com/EAN, you can get all the access information for that particular program. You can also reach out to me, Teresa, THERESA.Harrison@EY.com. But on that particular email, it will give you the overall criteria. So we have 2 different levels of entrepreneurs. One is emerging and one is established. And they have specific criteria. The emerging goes up to, I believe, like 5 million, and then established is 6 million and over, depending on the length of business. But I would say if you fall in that gap, apply, because we do take a look at each business. Each business goes through application process, it's reviewed, and depending on the levels of the different appliers, we do some different due diligence as far as interviews to get to know the businesses that we're putting into the cohort. But again, it has those specific criteria. We actually have announced all of the other cohort winners this year on the line. So it's a great program for you to get to know. But what I would stress is that you're not part of this year's program, there is an on-demand learning that provides you all the learning that cohort is getting. So all the recorded trainings, all the different assets that they're getting is available to you by just going on and applying for the on-demand. But again, it's ey.com/EAN. It gives you a whole overview of the program, accesses to the overall project manager team, and just insights into more of the different availability of the program.
Thank you, Teresa. Teresa Ward-Maupin, can you share who is the target audience for your initiatives like RISE?
Sure. So target audience are BIPOC, so Black, Indigenous people of color. And how you can gain access to apply is off of ComcastRise.com. There are 2 vehicles that you can apply for. One is the marketing and advertising support or technology makeovers to get products and services for free, as well as equipment. There's one vehicle for that, so go online and apply. The second one is for the investment portion. And all you'll need to do as a part of that, help us understand some of the challenges that you have faced as a part of COVID. How has it impacted you? How has it impacted your business as well as the community? And simply apply. And as we go through it, we're going to look for where we can make the biggest impacts. That will be long lasting, and that's going to be part of the selection process. You can also see previous winners on the same website. And so far we have awarded almost 2,000 recipients with this support.
Thank you, Teresa. And Rashida, who is the target audience for your initiatives?
So the target audience for our initiatives are Black and Latinx small business owners. And those are businesses with revenue between 100,000 all the way up into about 2 million. So that's who we work with. We definitely like to work with individuals that show, the commitment to really doing the work within their business. That's sometimes hard to kind of qualify exactly what that is. But that's truly the biggest requirement. We don't even require that the participants we work with, we don't require that they are Chase customers. We literally work with business owners, and even in some indications, we'll refer them to other financial services firms. So that's not even a requirement. The way that our program works is in right now 5 markets across the country. We have 2 business consultants, so myself and a counterpart. And literally to begin the process, we just accept emails to a business consultant in the market. So in the Atlanta market, that would be me and as I said, my counterpart. We then do one-on-one coaching with the small business owners. We work with about 50 each. So every 6 months, we'll work with about 50 businesses, and we do a deep dive, assess exactly what those needs are. And so it could run the gamut. It could be need for greater connectivity to other businesses that have already gone through the cycle, right? The pitfalls, the successes, et cetera. We do a lot of opening our Rolodex and helping the small businesses that we work with. We help them think about, additional revenue sources. We, also, of course, help them understand, where they are as far as their financials, whether they're, absolutely in a place that they're ready, to seek capital. If not, we work again with them one-on-one deep dives to help them get their financials to a place that they are, ready to apply or receive capital. In addition, we also connect them with CDFIs and MDIs, not just the ones that we financially support, but others that we have relationship with, to ensure that if they are in a place to receive capital, and if Chase is not that place, that they still have opportunities to receive the capital they seek. But the first step is definitely reaching out to me, and I'll put my email address in the chat.
Yes. And I'll give each of the panelists an opportunity at the end to share the best way, whether it be a website or email address, to reach out to find out more about the initiatives for those who are listening. So my next question is, in my opening remarks, I talked about just how COVID-19, the pandemic, has just really exacerbated many of the challenges that women-owned businesses are facing. And each of you work closely with women entrepreneurs. So I want to hear, what do you see the role of women-owned businesses and entrepreneurs in the COVID-19 recovery and the recovery efforts? What is the role of entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses? Let's see, Rashida.
I can say for us through the entire pandemic, they've been the lifeline that have kept our businesses going. They've kept us with the PPE that we need to keep our people safe and going back to work. We've got different boxes that we've sent out to recharge our people, and some of those products have been done by women and minority-owned businesses. But I think we have seen their resiliency, and I think what it has shown, the supply chains of all, or most, as I would say, Rashida, it's not all, but most, the companies have seen the resilience of these companies in getting the products that we needed when some of the larger companies probably could not. And I think being able to pivot and do lots of different things because of their flexibility has been very insightful, I think, and uplifting, particularly to me as a supplier diversity professional who is championing these particular businesses every day to show that, yep, we told you they can do it. They've done it. Now they've proven it. Now let's go take it to the next level. So I think all that to be said, we have still seen a significant amount of them have to close due to this pandemic. So a significant of them have been impacted. But I think the resiliency of them all, I think we'll see a lot of different changes. But I think what it's really shown us is their capability that we always knew was able to really shine during this time for me, Charmaine.
And I would just add on to that, because I 100% agree. I would add on to it that resiliency came through loud and clear. As we talked to so many small businesses, there were so many opportunities for people to give up, and you didn't hear that at all. You heard the strength behind what they wanted to accomplish. And to your point, so many women's businesses were impacted greater than men. I mean, we could go down a long list of why that probably happened. But I think one of the things that we've seen is the ability to kind of zig and zag and respond based off of what's needed at the moment, to quickly adapt to change. And I think that's driving a lot of the success on my business model operated one way yesterday. I've got to come up with a different way to be able to make sure I'm still supporting my customers. I think the other thing is small businesses recognizing maybe my customers are going to look different tomorrow than they do today. And trying to figure out how do they optimize their businesses to really support a broader audience.
And I would say, so as the ladies are speaking, I'm thinking about that visual of like the woman that has like 8 different arms and is doing 8 different things. I mean, that is what as women we had to do, right? So in this time when, unprecedented time, right? Where it has required the ability to do 10 things, pivot, and then figure out how to do 15 more, right? I think women are extremely well positioned and have definitely shown resiliency. The thing I do want to mention, though, is I often say that entrepreneurs are sometimes birthed through necessity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are many times that women entrepreneurs, people of color, for whatever reason, maybe have to exit what they would consider their traditional career, hit a glass ceiling, and determine that, wherever they are, just it's not that place for them, right? I think another thing that we will see out of necessity from this pandemic is that women in corporate spaces have greatly been impacted, right? I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we know for unemployment, right? We saw huge numbers of women leaving the workforce. And I think from that, we will see again, out of necessity, a number of women that are turning to entrepreneurship. And so I think we have to be aware of that, look out for that, and really be sure that we, right, and not just women here as panelists, but we as women, understand that that's coming and really work to support those women that have had to make a shift into entrepreneurship as a result. So.
Absolutely, Rashida. One of the things that we really highlight with the Women's Bureau and the Bureau of Labor Statistics is the fact that nearly 2.4 million women have exited the labor force since last February, compared to just 1.8 million men. And 1.8 million is still a lot, but we see that there's been far more women who have had to exit the labor force. My next question is, I work for the Department of Labor, Regional Director for the Women's Bureau. So I want to know specifically, what are the supports that the federal government and federal agencies can offer to women-owned businesses so that they are able to recover from everything that's going on? And even for those women, like you said, Rashida, who may be transitioning from your traditional 9-to-5 to entrepreneurship, what are some things, as you're able to speak to me as an employee of a federal agency and other federal agencies, what can the federal government do to better support women-owned businesses? Rashida, do you want to take this first?
I have a thought. So prior to my role at JP Morgan Chase, I worked for the mayor's office for the city of Atlanta and focused on an assignment with our economic development agency. And the work that I did day in and day out was help distribute grants. So grants to the community, not just loans, but grants that came as CARES Act funding to the city, that the city then decided to do as small business grants. So, of course, for me, the first thing that comes to mind is definitely, additional training, right? But funding. Funding. It is hard to start. It is hard to expand. All of those things for a business without funding. And of course, it's much more difficult for women and people of color to have access to that in outside of non-traditional methods. So that's my answer: training, funding, and then network. I know SBA has a program, I think it's called the Protege program, and it is all about connecting smaller businesses with more established businesses. The value of a network and people that can kind of show you the way, I think we don't speak enough about. So those three things from my perspective.
I think you're right, Rich. I think the collaboration between private and public is really crucial, because I really think the only way that we're going to accomplish this is together. So maximizing the programs that we both have from a federal perspective, as well as a company or organization perspective, I think is critical, and keeping that dialogue, because I agree. I think finance, access to capital is a big, huge issue across the board, and more so for BIPOC, people of color, what have you. So I think having the conversation, sitting down and really looking at the work that we need to do and figuring out how we do it together is what I would say.
And just to add on to that, because I agree with both of you, just to add on to it, it's also the simplicity in how we're engaging with these entrepreneurs. It is making sure that the tools that we're creating are easy for them to use, understandable, and allow them to apply for different support. Capital is a huge part of it, but also giving them the vehicle and the knowledge on how to apply and what are the specific things you're looking for. I know one of the things that we found is doing webinars to help walk people through how to apply, the simplification across the forms and so forth. That makes a huge difference too, because there's a lot of stress as they're trying to determine what support is needed and where can they get it. And one of the things we continue to hear is, how can you make it as simple as possible for us to begin the process? So I think that would be a great addition too, as you're looking at more tactical areas of opportunities.
And so let's close with a call to action. So I'd like to hear from each of you. What is the one thing entrepreneurs can do to better position themselves to qualify for the support that your organizations are offering? Teresa Harrison, do you want to start?
I think the biggest thing is apply. Take the opportunity, take the leap. There is a lot of opportunity that I think corporations' doors are wide open right now with access for all of you. But I think you have to read through the information. There's so many programs out there looking to build you into more successful organizations than you already are. So I think the first thing is to take the leap of faith to do it, because we're here to help. And I think it's most of these programs, if not all of them, are in a safe space so you can really going to learn, and they're going to give you that critical information that's going to be critical to your business for you to grow. So for me, it's take the leap. Look at all the different types of opportunities out there and figure out which one is the best strategic value for your organization.
Thank you, Teresa. Rashida, what is the step that entrepreneurs, women-owned businesses can take today to better position themselves for support that your organization is offering?
So I was smiling as Teresa was speaking, because literally when you asked the question, that was my exact thought. And then I was like, can I speak about faith? But I mean, Teresa kind of opened the door. So literally my thought was, my pastor always says, take the first step and God will do the rest. So literally, what
Amen.
can we do? Take the step. Take the step. We're waiting. Like, we want, like, this is a time that if we don't leverage the resources that are being put into our communities, like, shame on us. This is a time in history. It truly is. It's not talk, it's dollars, it's resources, it's people. So take the step.
Thank you, Rashida. And Teresa.
And I would just add on to what they're saying, it's action. Go and apply. This is not the time for our prides to get in the way. This is time for us to do a lot of research, find what's available. As Teresa was saying, identify the one that's right for you and apply for it. If we think about what we've all been talking about with resiliency, part of that is getting beyond our fear and looking at how can we truly triumph over it. And part of that is using the vehicles that are available to us. And I can't, Rashida said it so well, now is your moment. Take advantage of it. This is probably going to be the only time when you see this many resources available. So don't miss the opportunity to take advantage of it now.
Right. And right before we close out, I want to give each of you the opportunity to share either your website, email address, any contact information that would be valuable for those who are listening so they can reach out and find out more information. So let's start with you, Teresa Harrison, and then we'll go to other Teresa and then Rashida.
Sure. Again, EY.com has a great program. So EY.com/EAN for Entrepreneur Access Network. We also have an Entrepreneurial Winning Women program. Applications are out now for women-owned businesses, $2 million the last 2 years, no older than 10 years old in business. So that's EY.com/winning women. We also have my supplier diversity team. So we're open to helping you. We have a number of different programs to lift you. So EY.com/supplier diversity. But always, any trouble, please reach out to me, Teresa.Harrison@EY.com. Always here to help leverage our entrepreneurs into our workplace. Thanks.
Excellent. And feel free to reach out to me directly to Teresa_Ward-Maupin at Comcast.com. But go and apply on the website. It's ComcastRise.com. Apply for marketing or advertising assistance. Apply for the technology makeovers if that's a big area of opportunity for you, or apply for the grant. So it's at ComcastRise.com.
And for me, so I put it in the chat as well, but my email address is Rashida, RASHIDA .Winfrey, WINFREY at jpmchase.com. We also have a ton of tools and resources at chase.com, and you can also find more that are specific to minority businesses at Advancing Black Entrepreneurs on the chase.com website. So.
Great. Thank you again, ladies, for all the amazing information that you shared today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this panel discussion, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of WeOps conference.